Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, congrats to the winners as we continue to dominate the world of international football. A couple of weeks ago on my Patreon page, I explained why it would make a lot of sense for Nantes to defeat Nice in the 105th playing of the Coupe de France. And sure enough, they did just that, winning 1-0 today. And what I'm going to show you is how this game was a perfect script synced up with master numerology. If you're new here, it's very hard to get new people nowadays with your videos getting buried at the bottom of algorithms thanks to YouTube censorship. But if you are new here, what we talk about is the language of gematria, which is the language that's very important to the Jesuits who control media, government, military. They rig your sports games. Gematria comes from Kabbalah. Kabbalah is the belief that God created the world with letters, numbers, and words. And again, very important to the Jesuit order. And this game today was played in Paris, France, which is where the Jesuits were created. So, notice they scored their only goal in the 47th minute on a penalty. We'll get to why that's hilarious. But this all comes back to master numerology. So this was the 105th playing of the Coupe de France tournament, and the final match was on May 7th. That's a date that in the U.S. we write 5-7. The majority of the world will write this date 7-5. But I always tell people, and you hear if you're on my Patreon page, I always talk about this. Learn how to write the dates both ways. When you see a date like May 7th, immediately think 5-7 or 7-5. Because both dates matter. There's a reason countries of the world write dates both ways. So, here's the thing. The other name of this trophy is called the Coupe Charles Simon. That's the other name for the Coupe de France. Notice how it sums to 79 when you run the alphabetic order. This is the cipher with the rules of numerology. This is the cipher Manly P. Hall talks about in his book called The Secret Teachings of All Ages. He talks about how when you take the alphabetic order and you break every letter down to a single digit, you'll see a lot in the world of mainstream media. That's a great read if you've never read it. So notice Coupe de, the other name for Coupe de France sums to 79, 22nd prime number, right? Now, here was what stood out to me and why I thought they had a good opportunity to win. Last time they had won the Cup was in 2000. Okay, that's 22 years ago. And what you have to understand about numerology, if you don't know, 11 is the master number in numerology. 22 is the master builder number. And in the language of gematria, notice how master builder sums to 57. Like how the date May 7th can be written 5/7. And 22, the master builder number, Nantes wins its first Coupe de France in 22 years. And notice how the club they played, this Nice club, they have the 22 connection, and you can go and verify this yourself. They just picked up their 22nd all-time loss in the Coupe de France. What a perfect script that is. Even to this day, somebody who's known sports have been rigged since he was 7 years old, 8 years old, it's still amazing how perfect they get these scripts. But as for them winning 1-0, notice they scored in the 47th minute, right? 47's the 15th prime. This was the 105th Coupe de France. You drop the 0, 105's a lot like 15, 47, 15th prime. And this reminded me a lot of the 2018 World Cup, because back then I wasn't on YouTube, but Zach was. And if you were following Zach's work in his old blog, there was a story that broke, a worldwide story in 2018 at the time of the knockout stage of the World Cup, talking about a soccer team being stuck in a cave in Thailand. And Thailand is a nation that was once controlled by the French. And the name of that cave, I forget the name, but the name of it summed to 47. And that story broke, and it was perfectly synced with the World Cup final. And we said, there's your World Cup champion, France. Easy to see. And they don't forget they beat Croatia that year by the numbers, because Croatia is a country that broke away from the Yugoslavian Empire, and they got their independence in 1991, the same year I was born. And that was 27 years later, the 2018 World Cup, and the word soccer's 27. I was 27 years old at that time. They had the perfect script that year, France, and they got the job done. So once again, perfect script. When you know gematria, you know numerology, you see right through it. So congrats to the winners. I do got to put out that video in the Champions League on Patreon. We will get there. We will get to that, I promise. The Champions League final, it's a lot like this. It's the perfect script. But we'll leave it there, guys. Congrats to everybody that won. Till next time.